What is up, Colorado? Welcome back to a new episode of Nuggets and Brews, where we talk Denver Nuggets, and we get to drink craft beer. And as you saw, I didn't say Colorado craft beer, because today we're actually in the beautiful state of Montana, in the great city of Missoula, which is like a fantastic little town.
And why are we here, Ruben?
We're actually here. We were here for Pearl Jam. So, welcome to Nuggets and Brews. We're out here in Montana, Missoula, Montana. I'm your host, Misa. I got my good friend Kyle here, and today we're just hanging out on the beautiful Friday afternoon, drinking some beers here in Missoula, and we decided to, hey, let's bring the cameras and do a quick little podcast and kind of talk a little bit about Jamal Murray. I feel like today we're going to be talking a little bit about Jamal Murray, especially his greatness, because we've seen a little bit of hate over the summer, especially given the playoff performance he had in this year's playoffs, and we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna spread some love towards Jamal Murray today, and we're gonna try and not necessarily persuade, right? But remind people hey, Jamal Murray's still very good, and even though he deserves criticism, right? But I think there's a difference between criticism and just being straight mean and nasty and just saying things that are just not right, It just doesn't sit right with us sometimes. And we're also going to be talking a little bit about expectations of the regular season, kind of what to expect, a little bit about the schedule, and some notable games that are on the schedule to start the season and early part of the season as well. Because we all know, once we get past December, that's when really the NBA kind of season kind of starts, especially after Christmas. So we're gonna talk a little bit of some games to start the year, from October to December, some games that we kind of really are looking forward to, and that's gonna be today's podcast. So start us off, Kyle. What's on your mind first of all?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that we are at Imagination Brewing.
That's
here
right.
In Missoula, enjoying some good brews, super tasty. I'm enjoying their salted watermelon goza. And what are you drinking on, Ruben?
I think this is like a West Coast IPA. Yeah. So I just went straight for the West Coast. I went straight for the IPA. But this is a great spot. It's actually right by a river that kind of runs through the city, and it's a great hangout spot. It's a beautiful day today. They have some shade. We're out here, and they were really nice enough to let us record out here. And we're just enjoying the day, and
good vibes.
Good vibes all around. People from Montana do know how to party. I didn't tell you that.
Oh yeah, we've been here almost all week, and we've definitely been learned that Montanans know how to have fun.
Yeah, they're really cool. It is actually kind of windy out here today, so excuse for the if there's any audio disruptions, but we had to sit out here. It's too nice. It's too nice. Yeah. So excuse if there's any we'll edit in post production, as some of us editors will say. But Kyle, I've been seeing a lot of hate towards Jamal Murray. Some of which is warranted, right? Some of it is criticism, but I've seen some YouTube channels out there hating on Jamal Murray and spreading some hate his way that it's not necessarily warranted. Yes, he deserves some criticism. Of course, every NBA player deserves some, but there's been some negative talk about trading him and that he's washed up and that he's a fraud and he's garbage and all this and that, and it just did not sit well with me. And I not that, because I'm just a Nuggets fan, we're just going to fanboy over him. No, I think you and I have been very critical of Jamal Murray, and we've been very critical of him on recent podcasts as well. Yeah. But there's a certain threshold that you can only do.
There's criticism and then living in a different universe. Yeah. There's such a recency bias when it comes to Jamal Murray. It's either he is the next Kobe or he's complete garbage. There's never and let's be honest, a lot of that stems from his inconsistency. Yeah. Throughout his career, he has been a fairly inconsistent player. He's either been built. There's very little in between with Jamal Murray. He's either brilliant or not. But let's also be very clear. He was not healthy in the Olympics. Yeah. And we will all give that he had a bad Olympics performance.
He did.
And I think that's where the recency bias comes in. Because you can't really actually look at this past playoffs and look at him, and particularly as being an issue with the Nuggets. Yeah. Because I think Jamal actually stepped up in moments that others didn't in this playoffs. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry. I was there game 2 against the Lakers. He hit that shot over Anthony Davis. that may be one of my greatest live sports moments that I've ever lived through.
I can't believe I sold my tickets that day.
And
Still
and he gave me that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the half-court shot against Minnesota, where he stared down the ESPN crew as the shot's going in. I mean, even this year in the playoffs, even though it wasn't the same level of performance we saw in the previous year's playoffs, he gave some of the best moments in this year's playoffs of any player.
And he also had a great Game 7 against Minnesota. Well, great first half of Game 7. Like, he and Jokic were the only ones to show up. Granted, Jamal Murray kind of faded a little bit in that fourth quarter, but I felt like he was still kind of being effective in his own way. But
let's also be fair.
He
was coming at the end of the season. He had an injury. Mm-hmm. We know that.
Yeah.
They held him out of games. I do think that to a certain degree the Nuggets pushed too hard to try to take that 1-1 speed.
They did.
I do think that, and this is a conversation maybe for the second half about like this year and their approach, is I think one thing we learned, I think Jamal Murray is a great illustration of this, is we have to value health in the playoffs more than seeding now.
Yeah.
We know we can win. We know we can win on the road.
Yep.
We know that we are a good team.
Yeah.
Let's get there healthy and play our best basketball in the playoffs.
I think so
we
too.
Don't necessarily need to fight and scrap for every little thing.
And a lot of people forget, like, our championship year, Jamal was coming off an injury. And it's not like he came back he was obviously healthy enough to play. But let's keep in mind, he had to go through like this motion of getting back in rhythm with the Nuggets. He had to get back in basketball shape, and he's still having to get back in basketball shape. And you saw that the following year versus Lakers and the Timberwolves.
The championship year, he had a minutes restriction for most half the year. So you really, and even then we didn't play in the last part of the season too. Mm-hmm. So it almost makes me feel like we maybe rode him too hard this last season. And I mean, KCP literally said it. Yeah. The Nuggets were gassed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think it's more important this year that we're not gassed going into the playoffs. And I think Jamal Murray is a huge part of that. Yeah. And I think literally what we saw was gas in the playoffs, fighting an injury in the playoffs, and that translated to not being healthy in the Olympics. And people personally, as a Nuggets fan, I wish he had taken the Olympics off.
Yeah. Yeah, but to me, in this weird way, I almost want to... Throughout Jamal Murray's career with the Nuggets, I feel like there's been more good and more brilliant moments than there has been negative. Oh, yeah. And granted, the NBA is like, what have you done for me recently? And there has been some things that Jamal Murray could have done better as a pro, taking care of his body a little bit better and things like that. But when it comes down to it, it's still like it's either one or the other. It's like, who do you want to take the last shot at the end of the shot clock? It's Nikola Jokic or Jamal Murray.
And both have proven to be that dude.
And both have proven to do it in various ways, in various moments, in high stake moments, in clutch moments. And to me, the negativity that he's gotten this year, yes, it's deserved based on his performance, but you can't culminate that over the course of his career, because yes, he's had some inconsistencies for regular seasons, but whenever we've needed Jamal Murray to really step it up in big moments, I think he's surpassed that level, and he's also given us incredible moments that you as a fan, you're like, you how could you not keep Jamal Murray? How could you want to bash him on little inconsistencies when he's giving you so much greatness already?
Well, and also, I think we've seen this team without Jamal Murray.
Yeah, we've seen him without Jamal.
We know.
How many times have we said, oh my God, if we had Jamal in that playoff series versus Golden State, it would have been different. We could have gone 7 games. Oh, it could have changed.
I'm just saying, we saw 2 playoff series. We saw 1 full year without Jamal. Yeah. We know that the team's not the same team, and we know that when Jokic and Jamal are together, that's a force that the NBA literally fears. Like the NBA talk whenever those two dudes are playing their best.
How could you say he's bad, but then say that we need him? Yeah. It's like,
I mean, everybody talks about the Jokic Murray 2-man game, one of the most deadly offensive things in the game. Mm-hmm. I think that people forget that. I think people forget that we know what the team is without him. I think really what it comes down to, and what Nuggets fans maybe recognize that others don't, is that Jokic is the brains of the team. Yeah. But Jamal's the heart. Yeah. There are moments in games where, especially if you're in the arena,
it was kind of stagnant.
Where Jamal just gets a look in his eye. Yeah. And the next thing you know, it's just like...
It's like,
it's like there's a gear that Jamal, there's a thing in Jamal that other players in the team just don't have.
Yep. There's definitely, I feel like there's definitely been more great moments with Jamal, and that's why I'm here to kind of defend him a little bit, like. And also, he's proven to get better throughout the years. Like, if you do look at his numbers, he has, gotten better year over year. Now, granted, the last couple years, he's kind of stagnated as far as statistics of points per game and assists, things like that. And they've gone over just slightly over.
Let's be honest. The 2023 playoffs, his stats in that playoff run was insane.
Yeah, but again, when it comes to the playoffs, and that's why he earned that playoff Murray, and I think he still kind of has that title a little bit, because
I still think he has it even after this year.
And I think he still has it.
There's so many instances in just this playoff run, even though it didn't turn out the way we wanted, where he was that dude.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like today I have to defend Jamal Murray because my God, the dude has given us so much. And vice versa, the fans have given him quite a lot. We've been so supportive of him, and I think the majority of Nuggets fans are still supporting Jamal Murray in a way where people from outside the organization and outside Colorado who are not necessarily following the Nuggets as closely as we do, they kind of don't see it that way. They kind of see just like the immediate headlines, the what have you done for me recently, and forget about like just how dynamic Jamal Murray can be. And I think he can get to another level this year, given he gets some limit restrictions. Stupid fly.
Well, I agree. I don't even know if it's limit restrictions. One thing we know is that we had to protect Jamal from himself. Mm-hmm. Like he will play.
I think he'll be better if he plays a little less this year.
Well, I think that's the importance of having Westbrook, right?
Yeah.
Of having
give Jamal and Jokic rest this year.
Giving Strawler more time. Like I think that there's going to have to be this recognition. Like you can't ride Jamal into the dirt.
No. Yeah.
First of all. Second of all, I do think there is criticism because at times people talk about Jamal as being one of the top 5, top 10 point guards in the league, right?
Yeah.
And there's times he totally lives up to that.
Yeah.
But once you have that expectation on you, and then you see, I hate to keep bringing it up, but you see the Olympic performance.
Yeah.
And you see him literally beside, Shea, right?
Yeah.
You see him up against his peers in that moment and not... Now, part of we can talk about the injury. We can also talk about that he was playing out of position, that he wasn't...
He's playing like a shooting guard, basically.
He wasn't...
Catch and shoot guard.
He wasn't playing his game, He's not playing with Jokic.
Yeah.
There's...
The one thing I will take from the Olympics as far as criticism with...
Is that Jokic is that dude?
Well, yes, absolutely. But, we're talking about Jamal Murray here, is... We get to see the comfort level that he's got with the Nuggets. He can control that, that offense. He can set it up and stuff like that. But we still haven't seen Jamal without Jokic because we've seen those bench minutes, right? We've seen the bench minutes with Jamal, and it's they're not great. They're not the best, but they're not the worst either.
They are
but
crazy
also
inconsistent because there are times where those bench minutes,
and it's crazy inconsistent.
I think too, it's weird. It depends on the combination.
Yeah.
When we do a 2-point guard combination with him on those bench minutes, it doesn't always look right. When it was Reggie Jackson and Jamal, it was kind of weird. But there were times when it was okay, we're going to leave Jamal in there with Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Jamal had somebody to play off, somebody to dump the ball into, somebody who could play around the basket that freed him up to do more stuff. And then you got more scoring Jamal.
Well, that's part of my criticism is Jamal still hasn't. Because you see how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander plays with whoever. Mm-hmm. He still gets his points, but he still gets everyone else involved. So there's you see the difference in style of play that Jamal and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander play. And so you almost want a little bit more of what Shai brings. Can Jamal Murray learn from that? Can he do that where he kind of
But do you think
gets better at his handles, gets better at setting people up?
Exactly. I feel you.
It's more of a point guard role.
But I think one of the issues is he doesn't get to play that role naturally. So one of the issues you're saying is he plays with Jokic. Jokic fills that role on the starting 5.
And so that's where the rankings of point guards come into play. It's I feel like he's fairly judged to a certain degree.
Right, but I also feel like what you're asking
he's
him
teetering
to do
top 10, but he's also at times below top 10.
Yeah, but I think what you're asking him to do though is play one style and then immediately switch to another style as soon as Jokic goes off the court, and that's hard to do.
But for some point guards, it's not. That's the thing. It's can he continue to elevate? And I think Jamal Murray can. It's just a matter of can he get better quicker also, because that title window is closing.
Do we need him in that role?
I think
I don't think the title window is closing. I think it's kind of the opposite. I think, particularly if we develop young talent the way it is, our talent window is still wide open. Maybe Jamal's window is closing, but I think the Nuggets window is still pretty open. But I think bringing in Westbrook, I think bringing in Straw, they're talking about bringing in Muric. I think, I think some of the moves we made, or some of the understanding we have of the team now after the offseason, is that maybe we're not going to ask Jamal to be that point guard with the bench unit as much.
Yeah, I hope so, because that hasn't worked for the last 2 years. I certainly hope that if Jamal is somewhat with the bench, I hope it's with Dario Saric. I hope he gets extended minutes with Dario Saric.
I think that would help.
And I think that would help a lot.
I think also just talking like where his health and stuff like that. We
don't need to ride him we don't need him to play 40 minutes a night anymore.
And let's be honest.
We really don't.
Yeah, let's be honest. The only reason we have to do the stagger rotation where we have to keep a starter in with the bench is because our bench has been so bad for the last 2 years. Like on its own. Like we can't, like throughout the season, we've tried to do the full hockey shift, right? Where we just put in bench players and it hasn't panned out. So we've had to try all these staggers, whether it's been Jamal with the bench.
Never mind. I don't want to get that one mad.
Whether it's been Gordon with the bench.
Yeah.
Whether it's been MPJ with the bench. Or even Jokic playing crazy extended minutes. Like, at some point, I kind of feel like it's all symptoms of the same problem, which is our bench can't be trusted to operate on its own.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like if some of the moves
having
they made
a Westbrook
this offseason,
in there is going to
having Westbrook,
help.
having a Sarge, another year in a Strawther, third year for Peyton Watson, like... Homeboy's just going for your beer,
This
dude.
wasp is going for my beer. He's going to fall in there, and I'm
going to ask for another beer.
I'm going to have to ask for another beer. And there it went. There it goes. So I have a nice wasp in my
that's a new
beer
flavor,
now. Lovely.
It's now a jalapeno IPA.
Yeah, if I try and take a sip of that, I am done for. It's deadly.
Yeah, we'll definitely swap that out.
Well, anyways, we're coming up short on time on first segment, so... Again, we just wanted to give first part of the segment some love to Jamal Murray because, again, I was so tired of hearing a lot of the negative comments that were just hating on it without actually being interpretive of the actual situation of Jamal Murray. And, his recent play, totally criticizable. But at the same time, we love you, Jamal, and we've a lot of Nuggets fans have grown with you. We've come to admire his play, and we know the potential in Jamal Murray, and I think that completely outweighs having to have a consistent season because at the end of the day, it's about championships, and I think Jamal is all about that, and he's shown that he's all about that, particularly in big-time moments, and that's why we love Jamal Murray here in Denver.
And I'll add to that, we know that Jamal responds the best when he's doubted.
Yeah. I almost took a drink of this. Idiot.
He always responds. It's like he always sends to rise to the occasion when people give him the least amount of respect.
Yeah.
So I anticipate that he's going to keep that chip on his
Watch
shoulder.
him go hard this year, and in the moments that he's there, people won't be like, I hope he has that first half of season where people are like, is Jamal Murray an all-star? I think he needs to be an all-star. We
literally the end of last season
if
talked
he has
about how Jamal.
If he has a 25 point per game start the year, do you think that's all-star worthy? If he's in that.
Dude, think about this, dude. Literally the end of last season, the consensus in the media, in all the podcasts, everything was that Jamal Murray was one of the biggest all-star snubs of all time. Like legit, like this dude should have been an all-star. How was he not an all-star? 2 months later, we're talking about. Like, literally, we were sitting having to do a whole podcast defending whether he even should be in the NBA. I know. It's like, so, my God. I mean, the narrative's changed so quickly. But, no, I do think if he's around a 25-point, he needs to be around a 25-point and 6 assists per game kind of clip. If he's there, he's an all-star.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, I don't even think he would have needed to be there. I think he could have got it with 25 or 20 and 5. If he had performed well in the playoffs and the Olympics. I think now he has to kind of overturn the narrative. But if he had just played steady in the playoffs and the Olympics, the narrative from last year of he should have been an all-star, he may have gotten the pity vote to get in there without having to do great. But now he has to put up those stats in the first half to get that.
He's got to do a little bit of proving you wrong this year, which is, I think it's totally up Jamal Murray's alley. So, anyways, we're here at Imagination Nation. Cool title. And, we're doing Nuggets and Brews here at Missoula, Montana. And, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get another beer because mine has a wasp in it. Not a bee, a wasp. So, I'm even afraid to touch this beer. My name's Misa. Got my friend Kyle here. And you're watching Nuggets and Brews. Time to get another beer because this one is going to kill me. What's up, Colorado? Welcome back to Nuggets and Brews, where we talk Denver Nuggets, and we are currently drinking Montana craft beer. Oh my goodness, in Missoula
at Imagination Brewing.
Imagination Nation, great little town, awesome brewery. It's right by the river. We're currently having a
Lupa Juice.
Lupa Juice, which is like a New England style IPA, and as you can tell, this looks super juicy. So let's give it a quick try. Let's do a little ASMR. Also, we're going to try and make this segment a little short because I forgot to charge his microphone. So if for whatever reason you see me doing this,
he's always trying to silence me.
It's always probably because he talks too much. That's why. It's probably because the microphone might be dead, but who knows? Hopefully in post-production it sounds good. So anyways, we talked about Jamal Murray. We're defending him just a little bit and give him some love because he deserves some love. And
who else deserves some love, man? Pearl Jam.
Yes, thank you, Pearl Jam, for inviting us. Actually, just kidding. We did not meet him.
Thank you for an amazing show last night.
Yeah, that was a great show last night. Thank you for inviting me, Kyle. That was really cool of you. Last minute, he was like, "Hey, bro, my other friend, our other friend, basically
dropped out of this road trip.
Dropped out. He
reached out.
What would be the basketball term for something like that? We had the sub.
Did
he wanted a sub out, a trade?
Yeah, we had the sub. Did he put a last minute injury?
He was playing poorly, and he was playing the poor friend. And,
I wouldn't put it that way.
Okay, I don't know. I'm trying to put it in basketball.
He pulled a hammy.
Oh yeah, he pulled a hammy
in practice.
And
we had the Joel Embiid him.
And then coach over here was like, you know what? Dang it, let's get somebody else. So anyways, thanks so much for inviting me and for bringing me along. And it's like 12-hour drive from Denver, so we drove all the way up here from Denver.
Yep.
A bit of a boring drive, but once you get closer to Missoula, it actually starts getting it starts looking a little bit like Fort Collins, Colorado Springs, stuff like that. You know, to start seeing mountains, not quite as big mountains as back in Colorado, back at home, but still beautiful scenery around here. Great trails, wildlife.
Really cool town.
There was our hotel's kind of right by a golf course, and there was like deers walking through it. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we were walking through a neighborhood actually close to here, and again there was like deer just walking through people's neighborhoods. It's kind of like what you see in Golden, so that was kind of cool. The only thing I'm not liking right now is all these wasps around me, but as long as you stay cool, they won't mess with you. So that's my whole plan. Just try and keep it chill.
But yeah, thank you, Missoula, for being a really cool town. We've been here pretty much for a few days now. Hung out at a lot of spots. Hung out with a lot of natives, a lot of really cool Montanans.
And I think I am the only Mexican in town today. I'm just gonna go out there and say, I mean, not to rag on Montana. You know, Montana's a little white, but nothing wrong against that. But I think I've been the only Mexican in town this week, which is I'm just trying to diversify around here. Right? I'm going around the country trying to bring a little diversity. Some of these northerners up here.
Right. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun here. It's a really cool town.
It is cool.
Really cool vibe.
Really nice people.
The show last night was amazing.
We've had some good barbecue here. Like, who would have thought that Montana would have decent barbecue? So, what was it? Oh, it's Notorious PIG, which is a great little barbecue joint. There's actually a couple locations in town. Mm-hmm. If you're ever in Missoula, make sure to check them out. Actually, really good barbecue. I was actually incredibly surprised. Good
brews here. Imagination's been great today. Kettle House was really good.
Kettle House was great.
So
we were at this bar. We were at this bar called. It's like a really kind of like a cocktail bar. What was it called? Like something Plata or Bar Plata, something like that.
That was really good.
And the really fancy cocktails. If you're into that, which I thought I wasn't into that, but they were delicious. I made the mistake of drinking them too fast because they were just so good. You couldn't taste the alcohol, and after the third one, I was like, I need to pace myself. These are strong.
We're beer dudes. No, we're not necessarily liquor
I know.
dudes,
I was like, oh, it just tastes like juice. And but luckily, I had to make a fool of myself because I have standards.
Ruben is classy like that.
I'm classy like that. So, but anyways, man, we've had a great time so far. But the Nuggets, their workouts and off-season training is coming. It's kind of coming to a halt. Well, not to a halt, but like training camp's going to start pretty soon. So a lot of the off-season workouts are going to translate into in-gym workouts with coaching staff, and some of the media members are going to start showing up and stuff like that. So I think that takes place in a couple of weeks or so. So we're really starting to wrap up the off-season and starting to kind of look forward to training camp and then preseason and things like that, because our first preseason game is already in October. So September's coming up here really quickly, and so before you know it, it's going to be Nuggets training camp, Nuggets preseason, and it's going to start rolling. So Kyle, what are you looking forward to this season for just the overall organization, the players, coaches? Like, what do you?
Well, the first thing I would say, just off the bat, just looking forward to training camp, stuff like that. Per our previous conversation, we were talking about Jamal. I don't expect to see a lot of Jamal in training camp.
Me neither.
With what we've heard about the injury concerns, that not being fully 100% in the playoffs, and really not being 100% in the Olympics.
I think he'll be in the building, but I just don't think he'll be.
I don't think he'll be. I don't expect to see him a lot in the preseason games. Yeah. Similar to the comeback year.
Yeah.
He wasn't really a lot.
Yeah.
He wasn't really active in the preseason. I think they're going to try to give him and Jokic, because of the effort they put into the international play this summer, that they're probably going to not ride those guys.
Yeah.
I think the preseason training camps like that, it's going to be a real chance for some of the new guys, new pieces, Sarge, Westbrook, those guys, and then a lot of the young guys to really kind of shine. Mm-hmm. I'm really interested in to see, because I anticipate we're going to see a lot of Julian Strawther in the preseason. Especially the way he played in Summer League. I would be surprised if we don't see him big minutes for him in the preseason, just to see if he can be that scorer off the bench.
I think training camp is going to be incredibly crucial for just the bench. We know what the starting five looks like. We know how they play. It doesn't take them long.
Even with a starting five with the Christian Brown in place of KCP, because we've seen that.
Yeah, we've seen Christian Brown play with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, so we've seen that. That the starting five, I don't think was ever a concern. Yes, when you lose KCP of obviously his caliber, his defensive talents and things like that. Yes, there might be a drop off, but I don't think it's going to be so significant that we're going to be looking at the starting five oh my god, what's happening to this team? There might be a slight drop in points and maybe defensive efficiency, or maybe our defensive efficiency gets better because Christian Brown is a lot more athletic than 30-something-year-old KCP, but who knows? Who knows? So could be better, could be worse, but I don't think it's going to be that significant where we're oh my god, what's happening?
That's a flip of a coin.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, KCP is known as one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Yeah. So I don't know that you can just be oh, this dude's younger and he's more active, that he's going to replace that kind of savvy.
Yeah,
the timing, the just experience.
But Christian Brown is a smart dude, so maybe there's not a huge drop off, but there's also maybe we're just the same as it was last year, which we were what top 10. Rated
defense. I said before, my concern is that we have a drop off on the offense side, because KCP.
But even then, I'm not too incredibly worried. I'm not too incredibly worried,
because theoretically, there's enough offensive firepower in that starting five that. I mean, let's be honest, KCP was number 5 as an offensive option
because the offensive rating for the starting five, I wasn't too worried. But now that we've added Westbrook and Darius Sarge, hey, maybe that overall collective offensive rating does go up, because now you have a competent bench and they're actually meshing. If it all comes to fruition, right? If it all if the working pieces are actually working together, you might see a bump in that. And hey, maybe we finish top 5 in offensive rating, and we're just scoring at a ridiculous clip, because now our starting 5, they're getting the rest, and also the bench is coming in and being productive and actually sustaining leads or increasing leads.
Furthermore, if the bench improves, per the conversation we just had about Jamal, but just more general to the team, if the bench improves,
you don't need those Jamal Murray.
Does that mean
with the bench
we're healthier going into the playoffs, because We don't need to play Jokic ridiculous minutes. We don't need to play Jamal extra minutes.
Yep.
We don't have to do these crazy stagger lineups because we just don't trust the bench.
Yeah.
And that maybe we can get away more, particularly in the regular season, with the full hockey shifts, like giving our starters actual
and hopefully
rest.
Malone actually goes that way, because we've seen Malone do some funky stuff throughout the season, throughout the years, and you know, there's times where we've questioned it, but it's almost like there's something going on behind it, and you know, there's like a purpose for it. But this year, it's like there has to be a consensus throughout everybody, and even fans and outside media members in general are saying, hey, you can't ride your starters like that. You're gonna have to give them rest, and you're gonna have to rely on youth this year, because you didn't get older. You definitely got a little bit younger, and particularly on that bench, you're gonna have to rely on Payne Watson, Julian Strother now to kind of be those like offensive spark plugs, you know, because we're gonna get from Westbrook just consistent, like relentless pressure on ball, off ball, and Darius Harge, who just happens to be like a little mini version of Jokic.
This is going to be a real test on our GM too.
Yeah,
because
we see some moves too. Like
as good
it's
as
going to be really interesting to see.
As he's been in the wake of Tim Connolly's leave, like bringing in KCP, bringing in Bruce Brown, now bringing in Westbrook, like bringing in these pieces that seem to fit well, that seem to do deep runs. Not quite to get it done last year, but now it's like, okay, you have a different scenario to crack, right? And this is going to be a true testament to whether his bets, particularly on these young players, are going to pay off.
Yeah, I think it will. Listen, the Nuggets have obviously missed on a few draft picks here and there, but overall, since the Jokic era has kind of begun, I think we've hit about even. And that says a lot about an organization, because let's be honest, a lot of draft picks don't end up making it to the NBA, and they end up kind of flaming out, you know, a couple years. But also the Nuggets have taken risks that have incredibly paid off. Yeah. And so you kind of trust the Nuggets now to do their research and to be able to find those type of players that fit the culture as well.
Let's be honest too, with the way the NBA is landscaped, with the new CBA, stuff like that,
you need to rely on youth.
It's harder on GMs.
Yeah.
There's going to be more turnover.
Yeah.
Calvin Booth is going to have to, and you're right, teams more like in the NFL now are going to have to rely more on the draft process and less on free agency.
I was just about to say that, because, you're going to have to rely a lot on, one, developing your players, and also finding talent and actually doing your absolute best to get the best player available that fits your team needs as well, because as we've all known and as we've grown accustomed to, the Nuggets culture is a thing. It's a real thing, and you have to fit the right pieces.
And the people who's come through the Nuggets have talked about that. Whether it's been Bruce Brown, KCP,
veterans talk about the Nuggets culture.
Austin Rivers,
like
others, like there is this. We've seen people come to the Nuggets with like first season freaking DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah,
who kind of had something like that, kind of like DeMarcus Cousins, but he's still here. Is DeAndre Jordan. He had a bad stint. I couldn't remember where. Yeah, I can't remember. Was that where he came from?
Yep, he was there with Bruce Brown, and so he came over here with Bruce Brown. And
so he, as nice as DJ is, and is like as lovable as, he kind of grew a little bit of a bad report for being not like the best veteran
in that
locker room. And so he comes to the Nuggets. He's a super likable guy. Everyone loves DJ. So, it's just one example of many now. Of veterans coming through here and absolutely loving the Nuggets culture.
With the culture, but also it speaks to the selflessness of Nikola Jokic as the biggest star. As a guy who everybody knows is the thing, but has such a small ego, like literally that trickles down to the organization. And also, these same players, a lot of these same players we're talking about, were marginal players on their other teams, and then they come to the Nuggets, they play with Jokic, they play within this culture and this system, and all of a sudden, their stats are up. They're getting more points. They're getting more touches of the ball. They're happier as players. They feel a part of the offense because of the selflessness of Nikola Jokic. And I think there's something really to be said about that can continue to grow. That's where, like, we talked about Westbrook. He has that same reputation. But something tells me that a Westbrook and Jokic, that we may get a different Westbrook. Yeah. And to be honest, maybe not even a different Westbrook, but a better, the version of Westbrook that he wants to be, because he's playing in an offense that
A little more free.
More free.
That's his style a little bit.
This is style more,
yeah.
and lets him
down,
do more stuff, and knowing too that he doesn't have to hold on the ball because if he lets it go, he's not getting it back. Mm-hmm. Everybody on Nuggets knows that you're all going to touch the ball. Yeah. That as long as Yoke and maybe Sarge to a certain degree is that spoke in the middle, mm-hmm. that you just got to be ready that you're going to be touching the ball as much as anybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the advantages of playing here in Denver is. Hey, you want to not necessarily resurrect your career, but do you want to play in a style where it's all about inclusivity? It's all about like getting the right play. It could be you, it could be someone else. It's just there's just something to speak about that where if veterans are coming in here and getting better, then of course your young guys are going to get better and
and a team that's very notorious for making you earn your spot.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
We
Michael Porter had to earn a spot.
Like,
didn't matter how good you were at three-point shooting. You had to earn your spot, and I think that paid incredible dividends, particularly for Michael Porter, who was considered kind of a star coming out of coming out of Missouri.
Well,
and so
despite the injury,
he was still super highly rated. Coming from high school into college, and so you had to basically divert his type of like culture that he was used to of being like, no, I'm the guy, and so we kind of saw a little bit of that I'm the guy type speech during the 2020 bubble years where he's like, oh, they're not using me enough. Well, guess what Malone did? He's like, well, you're not ready, and kind of benched him a couple games here and there, and he had games too where he got benched.
He earned it, but also he earned it on the defensive side.
He earned it on the defensive end.
And once again, I cannot speak to how much I think how well MPJ played in this last year's playoffs and in the regular season. Like, I do not Game 7 aside, particularly the second half of Game 7. I am not blaming MPJ because MPJ's role is not to carry the team.
Yeah,
but there were moments he did, and he was the most consistent player.
He's more of a consistent supplement now.
But that dude hustled so hard. That Lakers series, there were plays that dude made on the floor for the ball. That game 2, I was telling you about. There's that play where Aaron Gordon's getting the freaking ball out of bounds, kicking it to MPJ who's covered.
If MPJ doesn't hit that, we don't win that game.
No.
There is no Jamal hit that shot.
No,
there's none of that. So again, we're talking about being able to trust actually the Nuggets to allow these young players to play and play good. So I'm not too worried about the player development here.
There's a different expectation too with us. It's like a lot of teams are like, well, we'll just let young players play through their mistakes because they aren't playing for anything.
Yeah.
When you're playing for a ring, you can't let players play through their mistakes. They have to play up to the level of what the team expects, or they don't get minutes.
Yeah, and also a lot of talk this year was like, oh, the Nuggets didn't win the free agency and all this and that. But it's like we might have not won free agency, but we have players coming up that I think are going to be very good.
What we're going to do in free agency? It's like our starting five is set.
And there wasn't going to be any moves that we could have done that were going to be dramatic or anything like that. The Nuggets aren't known for making dramatic free agency moves.
Well, I mean, that's true, but what are we doing on our starting? Teams that make big splashes in free agency are making starting five moves. Mm-hmm. And we were not in the market to make a starting five move.
No. And so that's why one of the gists of this season was you kind of had to let KCP go to be able to be able to supplement that $20 to $20. We're going to spend $20 on KCP. That $20 million that you were going to spend on KCP on other players, Darius Saric, Westbrook, and being able to just give yourself a little bit of flexibility further down the road if you need to. But.
And let's be honest, as much as I love KCP, he was kind of a disappointment in the playoffs, particularly his shooting.
A little bit, yeah. But
there was a lot of wide open threes.
But hey, man, it happens. But you know what? There's quite a lot to look forward to this Nuggets. It almost feels like a kind of not necessarily a new era, but a new chapter of this era, right? Of this Jokic era, where it's we've come up, won a championship, but couldn't defend it, right? But how do you rebound from that now, right? Well, and now you're in this phase of you're gonna have to develop young players. You're gonna have to rely on that youth, and I think the Nuggets are for the challenge.
Every team that wants to be a dynasty goes through this.
Yeah, they have to go through a little bit of regression to get better back again.
To come back stronger. You have to go through cycles. Yeah. You have to have a core,
you have to go through the cycle.
That nothing else around that core is going to stay the same. It's going to move, and that you have to understand. I mean, look at the Lakers dynasty with Kobe.
Yeah.
That cast around Kobe changed so many times.
Yeah.
And but the core, the philosophy, the culture did not change.
It was Kobe.
And we've been there. At this point, we've been there. We've been through let's say the Gary Harris years, right?
Yeah.
The coming up years, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the promise of Gordon. Then it was the injuries. And then it was the promised land,
Yeah.
And then it was like trying to understand it. Wow, it's really hard to go back and defend that shit.
Really is.
Everybody's gunning for you every night.
It really is.
And to be honest, for the entire season, the Nuggets were that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really Boston out literally.
We literally defended our title like no other. Like we really did. We really did try our best. But
injuries, running out of gas, playing a team that was literally designed to beat just you.
Yeah.
And couldn't beat anybody else in the playoffs. That's it's like.
But so we're looking forward to obviously more youth, a little faster play with Westbrook. We're looking forward to the bench. We're looking forward to being able to see the Nuggets grow and being able to change things up because some of the past regime didn't help. It didn't work. So it's time to change it up, and I think we're both in agreement on that.
And you know what? It's going to be clash of the upcoming team.
Yeah.
Or
again,
we're playing Oklahoma City, first game.
Yeah, first game. There's actually 5 games that I did mention on Guerrilla Sports that I'm personally looking forward to. Is obviously the season opener versus OKC, which is I think October 24th. A matchup between the top 2 West teams last year. They were tied for first. Obviously, Oklahoma City gets that tiebreaker based on divisional records and head-to-head against us. So, but also. We immediately get a game against at Minnesota, I think around November, and that's going to be great to for the Nuggets to kind of get a little bit of revenge. I think the Nuggets are
talking about a team that in Minnesota that I will tell you
they're confident. They're confident against the Nuggets right now,
but they didn't get younger.
No.
How long can Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, and Mike Conley hang on?
Yeah. But also, Naz Reid is not an old guy.
He's not an old guy. He's in and out.
But also, he's had the Nuggets number. So
that team, Cat's had a bunch of injuries too.
That team is confident.
But Conley's
but those are the guys I'm not worried about. It's those guys. Those guys are complementary pieces. But Anthony Edwards is getting better, man.
But you also saw last playoffs, the games that Conley couldn't play. The games that he was hurt.
Yeah.
We destroyed them.
Yeah,
He's the quarterback of that offense. Anthony Edwards is a great talent, but he doesn't he doesn't read the plays.
He does rely a little bit
Conley, on orchestrates everything. And let's be honest, Gobert is not a Jokic stopper, but Gobert clogs that center up that makes it hard for our two-man actions to work.
Especially with Aaron Gordon, it makes it hard for his dunker spot.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that's a team that I looked at that unless they actually do what the Nuggets is doing is get younger, they may be a flash.
Let's wrap it up real quick. So last thoughts. We talked about the team. We talked about a little bit of coaching and kind of how some of the changes. Do you foresee any trades from? If
there's any trades from Booth, I think it's going to come mid-season.
What would it be? Do you think
it would have to be something drastic? Because right now,
it would have to be for the bench, though. I think it would be just for the bench.
Who?
I think it would be for that power forward. Honestly.
Right, but what I'm saying is, who we're giving up?
Yeah.
I don't see us giving up.
I think it's gonna be like something very simple.
No, I think teams are going to ask for either Watson or somebody like that. And I don't see us giving up Watson. Yeah. And yet, number one.
I would be really happy for them just to stay the way they are.
Number 2, the only other move I can see is maybe trading Westbrook if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
But then that would be trading to a team that's desperate to just draw tickets.
Yeah.
So you'd be trading to some bottom tier team to bet for picks or something. This is one thing. As much as I love the Nuggets and how much confidence I have in this roster, one thing that does concern me though is, unless we're literally willing to give up somebody on that starting 5, which we're not.
I don't think so.
There's not a lot of freaking stuff we have that really attracts other teams.
Yeah.
And let's be honest too, over the last 5 years or so, we've given away so many draft picks. We just don't have the stock there to really.
Yeah, we've given up a lot of second rounders, which we're out of already. We gave up I think 2 or 3 third rounders to get rid of Reggie Jackson for someone else to take up that contract just so we can get Westbrook on that $3 million deal. So, but.
Yeah, so I'm just saying
a lot of things to look forward to the Nuggets this season. A couple other games that we forgot to mention.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day.
At Phoenix?
Obviously, the Warriors. I'm actually intrigued by the Warriors of what they're going to do because they've been such a talking point.
No Clay?
No Clay. I want to see what they do because it seems like from here on out, there's still going to be some moves that maybe because it seems like there's still a lot of behind-the-scenes things that we haven't seen with the Warriors yet. So we'll see.
That's the thing is, I think the Warriors, the Lakers.
Yeah. Obviously, I think there's a.
I think Miami.
Yeah.
There's a few teams.
There's
they will make some splashes.
The in-season tournament games. Dallas and the Pelicans are in our pool again for whatever reason. That was kind of weird. So we're gonna have to play them again this year for the in-season tournament. There is a Mavericks game pretty early in the season around November. That was gonna be really fun to watch.
I think they're gonna bring back that floor from last year.
I think they're gonna be different. Because they sold them off. They sold off the parts of the the floors. Like they sold them off. So that blue was hard to watch. So hopefully the colors are not so ridiculously hard.
On TV, but we were there for those games.
Yeah, the blue was not so bad. The red, whoever has red colors like Miami, Chicago, that was unbearable to watch. That was hard to watch.
I don't know. Just being in the arena with the blue and yellow the way we.
I thought it was kind of cool. I think it was too blue though.
It made it hard to watch.
It was a little hard to watch.
My eyes are.
It definitely made it feel special in its own way, but I'm looking forward to it again. It's something new, you know. It was definitely really popular. It was popular. It was popular up until the championship game between the Lakers and Pacers, which was like no one really cared about it because again it was like the Lakers again, whatever. Anyways, yeah, there's just a lot of things that we probably didn't even get to as far as talking points today, but we have to wrap it up today. Man, it was great. Thanks so much for everyone for watching and for tuning in.
Thank you, Missoula.
Thank you, Missoula.
Thank you, Pearl Jam, for an awesome show. Thank you, Imagination, for great beers. And,
it's been fun, and we'll see you back. We'll see everyone back in Denver, and I think we leave tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 12-hour drive all the way back to Denver. So
we're gonna go through Yellowstone and Grand Teton.
Yeah,
we're
gonna take our time because there's no rush. It's Saturday, whatever. But anyways, thanks everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we are Nuggets and Brews. My name's Misa, Kyle. And yeah, let's go Nuggets. And there's definitely a lot of other talking points. So we're gonna have to get together and kind of catch up on other things that we didn't get to talk about. And maybe next podcast we'll talk a little bit about Nikola Jokic because we didn't get to talk about Nikola Jokic and like his greatness in the Olympics. So
I don't think we've talked a lot about Jokic at all in all three.
It's not needed because he's awesome. We just know what we have. All right. Well, anyways, cheers everybody. Adios amigos, and let's go Nuggets. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.